So as they prepare for race day, today we're bringing you a conversation that we had with Erik of McLaren. He is one of their engineers, and he is talking with us about a new program that he's working on, been a part of for the past, 6 or 7 months. And in this conversation with Erik, we talk about what it takes to win a race, what it takes as far as the things that it's involved with to operate a car and to make it function and operate the way that it should. And so he really shares the truth of what it is to be part of a racing team, a family, and the hardship of the work that every year after this race, there was only one winner yesterday. Only one team that actually made it across the finish line and won. And for all the other teams, the hard work starts now, moving into the next season, preparing for the next race. So as we sit down in this conversation with Erik, I encourage you to listen to what he has to say. He takes the time to be real and honest with us. I'm very excited to bring you this conversation from Aero McLaren and Erik and the IMS team. All right, let's step up to the line. So, I'm sitting here at the Brickyard with Erik Cowden of McLaren. It might be a name, if you were watching the race yesterday, that you might know. And we're sitting down here to have a real and honest conversation about what it is to culminate all of the things that bring us here. And so, Erik, thank you for stepping up to the line and giving us of your time here today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I'm always happy to come to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Any day here is a good day.
So I have to say, with everyone that we asked to come here today, they were like, when, where?
Correct.
I will clear my schedule. So
Yes,
it's very
100%.
true. Very true. So what do you do? Actually, let me step back. What's your title at McLaren?
Director of Engineering.
Director of Engineering.
Yeah.
All right, Erik. So we're going to get into what you do a little bit later, but tell me a little bit of the story of how you ended up being the Director of Engineering.
Yeah. So I've been in motorsports, primarily open wheel racing, for over 30 years now.
Okay.
It's
Wow.
tough. It's tough to hear that when I say that I'm actually that old. But I started straight out of graduate school in December of '94.
Okay.
Working for IMSA sports car team, so 24 hours at Daytona. Quickly moved into open wheel racing with Indy Lights is what we called it. It's called Indy Next now. That's where I met my illustrious friend Tony Kanaan in December of '94.
Wow.
Or sorry, December of '95. And we've kind of been attached at the hip since then. He is actually the team principal of McLaren's IndyCar team. So
wow.
But our highlight of all of those 15 some years of working together was we won this race in 2013.
Wow.
Together. So
wow, that's pretty awesome.
So, but yeah, it's like I say, any day here is a good day for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting. There's one thing I've been talking with people here over the past couple of days, just having real and honest conversations that are in some way, shape, or form connected with the track. Like, our first podcast was with Keaton Turner of Turner Mining Group, and they're the ones that they participate in digging aggregate out of the ground, which is then what the Heritage Research Group uses to put together things and tie them in like a laboratory engineering way to make this track so unique and important. Like, you would never realize what actually goes into making the asphalt and tying it together in a way that is different than anywhere else in the world, which blows my mind.
Sure. I can appreciate that, just being here through the years and seeing several evolutions of the track and the track surface. yeah, those companies do an amazing job because two
It
and a
is
half
truly.
miles
Yeah.
to have that consistency.
Yeah.
That's an impressive feat.
It is truly a science. And they showed us, they took some cores in 2017.
Yeah.
And if you're listening and you don't know a lot about, one of the reasons it's called the Brickyard is throughout history, it started with 3.2 million bricks, I think they
Oh
said.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
and I actually have one. I'm
Really?
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to acquire
That's
one
awesome.
through the years. So
Well,
yes.
they did a core, and in the core, you can see the bricks at the bottom and some stuff underneath that. And then it shows like the evolution of the track over
Yeah.
the years through that core, which is just fascinating. So
even like the drainage system and everything that's put into sort of managing water runoff, and we get the heat of the summer
Oh,
and
my
the cold
goodness.
of the winter, and have this place absolutely immaculate year after year.
it's pretty insane.
Yeah, and a very impressive job.
And then we talked with Tyrone Garrison from IMS, and he manages all the different trades aspect of what goes on here. So he has plumbers, painters, electricians, HVAC contractors,
It's
carpenters.
a small city, isn't it?
It is. It
Yeah.
really is. And I had no idea what goes into that. And it's like, and it's a great picture for our society and our culture of what we need to be.
Sure.
It really truly is, because all of those things culminate to bring together a race experience that I think is unparalleled from what I have seen and what I've been told. And just, he took us around the track. We got to see what actually goes on. It's fascinating to me. Absolutely fascinating.
I've had the pleasure of working for Mr. Penske in the past, and I know his stewardship of this facility.
That's a great word for it.
What Indianapolis and the Indy 500 means. There's no better person to carry that on and keep this being what it is every year when we come back here in May. It's so special, and just having that continuity and it's actually growing.
Really?
Really, the TV viewership and the attendance, year after year, I think it's actually going to be a sellout this year from what I'm hearing, which is amazing.
Wow. It's just, well, and just the care with which things go into it. We showed up here when they were doing the open test, which was, I'm hooked. I really am. But the hospitality would be the word that I would use.
Sure.
The welcomingness of the entire team, from the media staff to the operations people, all of them. It's like, I've been to different sporting events, but this facility, this place is just different.
It is special.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm maybe a bit biased, but I was hooked from the day I walked in here back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Mario Andretti was still driving the Kmart.
I know that.
Seeing the cars here for the first time, like you experienced recently, it gets to you.
Yeah.
And it gets into sort of your soul.
Yeah.
And you just want to come back time and again.
Yeah, for sure. So your origins and how you got to where you are, your connections. The thing that I noticed, and the reason I kind of went on that side trail and whatnot, is I notice a lot of relationships. A lot of people that I've talked with, that we've had on this series coming up to this episode, they connect with people, they relate with people, and they continue to relate with those people.
Racing is a very small community.
I'm seeing that.
So go back to before I got in. I was in graduate school at Virginia Tech, 93, somewhere around there. I drove to Nazareth, Pennsylvania.
That's where I live in Lancaster. So.
Okay, so I drove. Nazareth had the IndyCar race, the short oval there. Nigel Mansell was driving for Newman Haas, and he was just about to wrap up the championship. He had just come over from Formula One as the world champion, so this was a big deal back then in the early 90s. But I drove there because I'm like, all right, I was getting my master's in aerospace engineering. I'm like, if I want to figure out if this is what I want to do. I'm going to go there. I'm going to talk to some people. Saturday qualifying got rained out. Everybody was standing around in the rain. They were changing motors, put the race motors in. And I actually had contacted a colleague of mine, Julian Robertson. He had just joined Chip Ganassi Racing. He had come over from Formula One recently. And stood in, and he took the time to talk to this dumb kid standing in the rain because he's just a wonderful person. I said, how do you get in this? He said, you just have to be persistent. You have to get your foot in somewhere.
Yeah.
And then you have to work your butt off, take
Yeah.
advantage of opportunities when they are presented.
Yeah.
And, that's how it works.
Yeah.
I said, okay, all right. So I got my first job in racing like 8 or 9 months later. I don't know, just for the viewers that are out there. So Julian is actually the race engineer and engineering manager at Chip Ganassi Racing still.
Wow.
He engineers the tent car that's kicking everybody's butt, unfortunately. It's a dichotomy between I'm a competitor, so I want to beat him and his driver.
Yeah.
They're both, nice people.
Yeah.
That I know personally. So there's that sort of balance there.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
I want to beat him on Sunday, but on Monday it's like, yeah, okay, Julian, you've worked your butt off. You deserve this success. So it's
a good mantra for life too.
I actually worked with him at Chip Ganassi Racing for several years as well. And we joke about that story all the time, but that was sort of my, kick in the butt to like, okay, if you want to do this, then get in there, start making phone calls, sending out resumes, get in people's face, go to races, get yourself out there and get in somewhere. And that's I think a lot of what is difficult for the younger generation this day and age. Everything's social media and emails and
so instantaneous too.
Yeah, Teams chats. And there's so little communication anymore face to face like this.
Yeah, that
I think it's a lost art in some ways. But getting yourself out there and meeting the people that you want to be around, that starts that community. And I think once you're in, it was very true. There's such a small, relatively small group of people in this business.
You're absolutely right.
You just keep seeing them around and they're just like-minded people.
I think the thing that you're touching on that I find so interesting is face-to-face communication is something that I think not only is it a lost art, but it's like, I actually think it's pretty essential for a healthy life.
Yeah.
And the reality is, we don't do our podcasts virtually, and I don't have anything against that, except for this. If I'm going to have a real and authentic conversation with you, I can't put my finger on it, what it is, but there's something in sitting here within 6 feet of one another, having this conversation that changes it.
Yeah, no, I would agree 100%.
And that same thing goes into even your origin story of how you got where you are. When people see you show up, and this would be, if you're out there and you're young and you want a good career, a good job, I don't think it actually matters what that is. It should be about the people that you work with. And if you want to be ready for that opportunity when it comes, you got to be showing up in person to do the work. And if you don't do that, then you're going to miss it. Just plain and simple. So
100%.
So Erik, I gave you a little heads up, some directions before we got started. So I want to ask you a question. What is a tool or a piece of gear that Erik just can't live without?
Yeah, I hate to be the geek, but I can't go anywhere without
you are
my
an
laptop.
Engineer.
I know. So one thing that, again, being around for a while, when I started, it was like, okay, here's your stopwatch, here's your clipboard. Like, don't get run over.
Wow.
So the evolution of the decades is now it's gone from notebooks and handwritten notes, because eventually someone would drop their notebook and all their papers would go flying down pit lane and be like, there's the secrets of the universe disappearing, right? To we started typing the driver comments and the changes that we were making to the car. We started that in the early 2000s. Now there's custom made software that everything's written. You have multiple users doing input at the same time. There's lap times and all these other metrics that are being fed into at real time as the car's running. It's very automated, very slick. So at some point, I'm just like, okay, I'm cutting the cord. I'm going paperless.
Yeah.
So now that the laptop, I basically have that and it go anywhere in either pit lane or the garages or the truck. You're on Wi-Fi. You're connected to the network.
Yeah.
We've got multiple servers that we access, and yeah, it's just almost. Well, to your point, I can't live without it, because that is my source of all things information and data, and just geek all over.
I think it's totally everywhere. Changed the industry. I remember my first computer was a Commodore 64, and had a little tape deck that you would put a tape in, and that's going back a little while. But the reality of technology and how it's changed, and in some ways it's helped our lives. And even to the talk about not being in person, in some ways,
sure,
and I think with any tool, it's all in how you use it.
Yeah,
it's all in how you use it. And so, you could have said worse things.
I'm sure if I'd have thought about it longer, maybe there's a little more off color answer. But we'll stick
That's all right.
To that
we don't need that. That's fine. So, talk to us a little bit about what you're doing now at McLaren, because you made a comment about transitioning to what you're doing now.
Yeah. So from my start, and probably the first 25 years of my career, was what we in our business in IndyCar we refer to as a race engineer. So that essentially you have one engineer that's in charge of a specific car.
Right. So
in our case at McLaren, we have 3 full-time entries. So 3 drivers, 3 crews. What you have is an engineer that's in charge of each one of those cars. So for all those years, multiple decades, that was my role. So I was in charge of one driver, one car.
Wow.
Trying to optimize the performance of that one entry. So recently, I transitioned into more of and again, it's part of the evolution of life.
Yeah.
You have all these young, I call them kids. They're all kids to me now. They're coming out of school that have more programming and more basic knowledge than us old timers that had to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
You got kids coming out of college now that have multiple, programming languages that they work fluently within, computer aided design, 3D modeling, all of these software packages and technologies are being taught as core principles in education. And I joke about this because my last programming that I did was on an IBM mainframe and in Fortran.
Were you putting it on the cards and put it in the computer?
It was just one step past that.
Wow.
Yeah, you actually had to go to the lab, log onto a terminal on the mainframe, connected directly, and you had to handwrite your program and then hope that you didn't screw up in like page 6 of 14. And then, because when you compiled the program, you had to go back and figure out where the mistake was by wherever it broke. But so now these kids are coming out and they are really sharp.
Yeah.
And you've got individual universities around the world that actually have focused motorsports engineering programs. Wow. So not only do they have the skills, but now they have the background knowledge to hit the ground running in the industry.
Wow.
So when you get young people like that,
Yeah.
what are they missing? Well, they're missing 30 years of experience.
Yeah.
I've been there, done that, learned the hard way. When I came up, I was the engineer.
Right.
You might have had an electronics guy or a wiring guy, and maybe one younger guy as an assistant.
Right.
But if you had a wiring problem, you were probably the one that had to do the soldering. If you had a damper that needed to be built, you were the one that built it. So
Yeah.
not only did you decide what went in it and what you wanted the damping curve to look like, you were the one that had to build it and dyno it. You kind of learned everything along the way that is like short of they didn't want engineers touching the car with tools. That was like, whoa, what's going on here? What? Put that down.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. So outside of that, you worked with the driver, you looked at the data, you decided what changes to make, you worked with your small group of mechanics, you really had a hands-on approach to making the car go faster at those stages.
Yeah.
So now the sport's grown, the technologies have expanded. There's so many more, and to me, it's departmentalized.
Yeah.
So you've got, in our instance, we have an engineering group, but there's departments where you have an R&D group and design. I have a simulation group. We have a group that's really focused on tire energies, tire temperatures. We've got a group that, like I said, of race engineers that are in charge. And then on each group that work with each driver and each car, there's a performance engineer. There is a systems engineer, because the electronics and all the components that sensor-wise are so complicated on these. You've grown the sport to a point where you have these specialized individuals now, and you still have, okay, maybe they have all this mastery of their specific trade, but you almost, where I bring sort of that experience is how do you tie it all together?
Yeah.
And really, I guess from my experience level, and I'm not the only one that's been in this business that long. That's the value I think that we bring.
Yeah.
Is sort of the big picture view and tying the individual disciplines together.
Yeah.
And trying to bring everybody together as working as a cohesive unit, because you've got, what do we have, 10 teams and over 30 cars that
Wow.
here, 33 cars for this race. Each one of those groups is trying to get the most out of their driver, their car, their engine. So the better our group can work together, the more all three of our entries, four for the 500, are going to perform. And that's part of putting the puzzle together.
Yeah.
Getting all of these really switched on smart people to work together and all sort of pull in the same direction.
Yeah.
But you still have to be respectful of people's ideas and their perspectives, and you can't, you're not just laying down the law. This is the way we're going to do it, and this is how we used to do it 20 years ago. That doesn't work.
Yeah,
anymore.
it doesn't.
So for me, even adapting from sort of pretty rough around the edges, hard-nosed sort of individuals when I was that 20 years ago, when I was in my impressionable part of my career, the people that had been there for a while.
Come on.
They were like pretty. If you had to go and talk to someone like that was in charge, their team manager or team owner, you better have a good reason. Because they didn't have a lot of patience for dumb questions. Yeah. So if you hadn't thought about what you were going to ask, if you hadn't looked for every other source possibly answer your question, then you were okay. Okay, I need to go answer. I need to go to this person. I need to ask. But you better have a good reason. You better have tried to figure it out on your own.
It's interesting. That's something I used to. You've heard the phrase, "Oh, there's no stupid questions," and I learned early on there are, if you're not intentional about what you're doing. And I would say that kind of runs with life. It's like do something, do it with intention. I remember a business partner of mine, I once said thank you to him for, I saw him doing some work that needed to be done, and I was appreciative of it. And I was like, was walking by when he was doing the work, and I'm like, hey, thanks. And he taught me such a valuable lesson, because he said, don't tell me thank you unless you actually articulated why you're thanking me.
It's very good.
And it was like, and I was, after I got through the intensity of, I was just trying to be encouraging. But he was like, he goes, it doesn't mean anything if you didn't actually have intention behind it.
Right.
If you didn't think about it. And it's like, the same goes for questions. It's like, okay, well, there is a level of, I'm trying to think of, there's a level of where you're not communicating care for the person that you're asking the question to.
Sure.
If you didn't put together the intentionality to be like, okay, this is the question that I have, and here's why.
Yes, the why.
Yeah.
Not just the ask, but the why.
Yeah.
I think that's a very good point.
I have 3 children, and my youngest son and I, we work together from time to time. And my biggest thing is he'll go to ask me a question. And, you have to transition with your kids, I think, from a time where you're really helping and providing everything for them to a time where it's like, I'll kind of look at him when he's coming to ask me a question and be like, did you, it's like, did you do this? Did you do that? Like, and I don't even need to say it anymore. Now I just look at him and he's like, he'll literally turn around and walk away. And then, he might come back an hour later and be like, yeah, but the importance of that intentionality is a big deal.
Yeah. So I just started with this organization back in September.
Okay.
So I call it the new guy dumb questions. I apologize up front. I'm going to ask because I can't find this on the server. I don't know how this is set up. There was like a whole list of new guy dumb questions. But to your point, have purpose behind it.
Yeah.
I put the effort into trying to figure it out myself. But you know what? At a certain point, there's an efficiency of me just asking.
Yeah. Yeah. I did a podcast with a guy managing a heavy civil contracting company, and I love going around the country having these conversations because I learn so much information. And he made this comment. He said, I asked him, I said, well, what are you looking for in people? What makes a high quality, employee, team member, worker? And he said, attitude and effort. Yeah. He goes, if you have attitude and you put in the effort, he goes, I can teach you anything, and I want to.
Sure.
And he goes, but if you have a bad attitude and you don't put the work in, then go somewhere else.
Yeah, no, I think that's actually very good.
Yeah,
very good sort of balance there. You've got to have it.
So now with McLaren, you're here. You're the new guy in one sense, but you're also
the old guy.
You're also the old guy pouring into, and let's say experienced or mature. There we go.
Sounds much better.
But you're pouring into that next generation. That's pretty solid forward thinking on McLaren's part to be investing in that.
I think that's, again, when you get sort of experienced and the management group of the team, I think, has that sort of mindset and value that, hey, we've got all these great, smart kids, young people that we just need some experience. Zach Brown, our CEO, I think the words he used to me were, we need a few more adults at the table. So that to me, I think that summarizes it.
Yeah.
And I'm just, actually, I don't look at it as sort of I'm in charge.
Yeah.
I really feel like I'm working with this group, and I'm trying to give them the space, the resources, and just the encouragement to do their best work.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm working for them, not the other way around. I don't see myself in.
You know what they call
role.
That's called servant leadership, which is
there's a name for it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And it's like, well, it's the difference between being a manager or being a leader.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean? And it's like, and I think that, a manager, you might be behind people pushing them. A leader, you're pulling them along. You're saying, here's the way.
Sure.
Let's go. And that's pretty, whenever you have, the key is to get people like that on your team, then all of them. Because when you're all working for each other, It's like the one thing that I've been hearing over and over again, it's about being in alignment, working together, going the same direction, all pulling in the same direction. And the reality is seconds matter in what you do. Milliseconds matter.
Yeah, I was going to say, we go out to 4 decimal places. So that makes a difference. Yeah.
And that's where that alignment and that working together is so key.
Yeah.
It's so key. And the crazy thing is, like you say, how far you go out with the decimal points there. I actually think that matters in every career, in every aspect of life. You guys are just doing it at a scale where it's like, you cannot ignore it or you won't be here.
Yeah, I always use this saying, and I'm sure they get tired of hearing it, but when we have, so within this series, the basic car and the rules package are built around the sport being competitive. So opposed to, and again, nothing against our Formula One brethren, but they build their own cars from scratch, ground up. We basically, all of our cars are not as, we call it a spec series. But basically all cars out there start from the same origin. There's a very defined rules package that keeps us limited in our development areas. So in this sport to be competitive, because everything is so small of margins, I say we're stacking pennies to make dollars. And it is like you find little bits of performance everywhere that you look. Yeah. And the harder you look, they may be small, but they matter. Yeah. And that's where, the more clever and creative ways that you have and more people that have that sort of mindset and input, like we just stand around and look at the car and go, well, what if, yeah, maybe. All right, well, let's look at it. There's just those sort of open flowing conversations about how do we make this better?
Yeah. I think that's one thing in industry that you guys are uniquely positioned for, is seeing how important those little things add up to big things. Yeah. And that's something where it's like, I had a conversation with a guy and he goes, well, I want to stack wins. I want to stack one on top of the other. And it's like, and then I was having a conversation with another company and they're like, well, we realized if we improve this by 3% on this job, and then we improve this by 3% and this by 3%, well, my goodness, we're at 21% before we even know it, improving our bottom line. And it's like, that's really important, and you talk about stacking pennies and looking at that stuff. And I think people don't realize that. And honestly, it's the lack of experience. I think you can get caught up in the big picture and not realize that the only way that you get to that finish line out there is by stacking those pennies, to get there. And you're not going to, you can't circumvent it. You can't cut around it. You have to, those little things over and over, and I'm not talking about racing because I have no authority to talk to that, but I'm talking about business and life.
I would say, there's that can apply in so many different areas. Like you say, life, business, it's the small things that matter. And the accumulation of small things add up.
They really, truly do. And I think we have to be careful not to get distracted by the big things because, and then that's the other thing is consistency.
Sure.
If you put the consistency in, eventually you're going to win. I mean, you said it's been a while. You guys are putting the consistency in. The only problem is so is everybody else. I mean, absolutely. These are professionals here that you're competing against, and it's real.
Yeah, there's organizations from top to bottom that on any given day in this sport, they might get everything, just all the tolerances line up in the right direction and they get it right. And that's it's good from I think the sport as a whole, the competitiveness, you're not just showing up to watch the same two cars race and try to win against each other. You're actually seeing, hey, I don't know who's going to be quick this weekend. Yeah. And everybody shows up with a mindset that, hey, this could be our weekend. I think we got it now. So It's fun from a competitor standpoint, but hopefully from a spectator standpoint as well.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What is it that you love about, the Indy 500? What is it that you love about this place?
Oh, it is probably the hardest. We talk about what have you done in your life that you feel like you've really accomplished something.
Yeah.
And winning this race
Yeah.
after 22, 23 attempts, only winning it once, coming close. It's the times that you've just missed it by whatever, something went wrong. It has to be a perfect day. It literally has to be the perfect day. You can probably have one thing go wrong, and as long as you recover from it, you got a shot, and just a shot. Like we were talking before, a lot of people say this track chooses its winner.
Yeah.
It is truly a special place to try to be the guy standing over there on that podium at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So a lot of incredible drivers have never accomplished it.
Yeah.
I forget what the number is, but there's of all the races that have been run here, over 100 and what is this year?
110th.
10th.
110th Indy 500.
Yeah, there's only, I don't know, very very few, because there've been multiple winners, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's changes your life.
Yeah.
It really does. They say that, but and as far as accomplishments go, I think this winning the championship is obviously, because that's a year-long struggle.
Yeah.
There's so many things, ups and downs, and trying to just manage your emotion and your focus to win a season-long championship. But yeah, this is probably and that makes it special.
Yeah.
And it's the process of coming here and competing is such a labor of love.
Yeah.
And it has to be a passion driven endeavor, because it's just too much hard work.
Yeah.
It's too much stress. People ask you, like, what's the hardest thing about your job? And like, pole day at Indianapolis is the most stressful day of the entire year, bar none. Not even the race.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, it's tough to explain. I suppose if you see it going through the process one time here, but the speeds that we're doing, that the cars are going, the smallest mistake, and it's a disaster. And there's so much time and preparation and effort put into the preparation of these race cars, to come down to having one moment make or break the entirety of that effort. You're on such a knife edge every time the car goes around here at that speed.
Wow.
And you wake up,
and you've poured your whole life into it at that point.
There's so much effort through an entire year.
Wow.
Like, from like whatever Monday, the day after this race.
Yeah.
That's the start of the next year, preparing for the next race, because you're analyzing what went wrong, what went right, how do we make it better, and that's a year-long process.
I have a question for you related to that, because you're talking about this, and in my first podcast here at the track, I was talking with a guy about sometimes certain things happen, and you feel like you got kicked in the gut by a mule, and we were talking about, and I asked him this question, which I'm going to ask you. How do you move on from that? And honestly, I have a lot of admiration for you listening to you about your job, because I can think of, a handful of times throughout my career where I've experienced that. It sounds like in racing, you guys experience that on a yearly basis sometimes. And maybe even more than that.
Almost daily.
How do you move past that? Because sometimes that's so intense. Why do you not give up? How do you push through it?
Yeah, I honestly think that it's more than a paycheck, like I said. And I always put this into perspective for people. This isn't a 9-to-5 job. This isn't however many days a week or whatever. It's measured by whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes to do that job, that's what you do, and you define that as a group. You
Yeah.
define your goals as a group, and then you work. Start with the end in mind, and then work backwards. So
Yeah.
what do we have to do to get there? And then that's day in, day out, whatever it takes to achieve those goals. That's the group mindset
Yeah.
that I think is I don't know. I haven't worked outside of this bubble,
Yeah.
but if I were just showing up for a paycheck, this wouldn't be where I would be coming
Yeah.
because it is too much work.
Well, I think you touch on something that I absolutely love about business, and that is the power of team.
Mm.
And I'm not in a sports career, but for me, business is that, and it's like I've been through some really, really hard things with my team, and it's been more than 20 years with some of them, and it's like the reality is, it's like we can talk about a story, and both of us can go back in our memory to that moment.
Right.
And it's the other thing about when you work with team, and especially when you work with them on really, really hard things over time, you really learn the character of who the people you're standing next to is. And I would say, whatever career it is, the importance of finding a team that you align with, and you identify with their culture, and being able to go through that. For me, that's the thing that actually pushes me through that hardship.
Sure.
Because when you experience that one time, that you get on the other side with the team, nobody else can understand that. Even the other teams that are here, when you guys win, you guys are the ones that know, your team knows, Erik's team knows what it took to get there. The sleepless nights, the hard work, all of that stuff. And it's different for everybody. When you find that, that's a power that is just phenomenal, I think.
I think I'm just thinking about one story, and just an experience of getting through something, particularly in this business. It's always out there. So I mentioned my friend and now boss, Tony Kanon. At the time we were, this was 2011. I was working with the Penske organization. He was working with a different team. We lost a friend that we had worked together with years before that, and we lost him in the Las Vegas race, Dan Weldon. That was one of the things that, unfortunately, I've seen that kind of tragedy at the track.
Yeah.
That one was the closest, because Dan was, I still have a picture on my phone. It was at my daughter's first birthday.
Wow.
As we work, and at that time we worked as a group. We worked really closely together with the drivers, the engineers. It was one of those situations where you look back on it now and don't realize how good it was. And because you were in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we lost him at the last race of the year. And Tony and I were back and forth, went back home, and days after we kind of shut things down, the general flow of the season is we're really busy, and then we take a week off after the last race.
Yeah.
So we were both at home, and we we're like, that's it. We can't do this anymore. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
We just lost Dan. What the hell are we doing? Why are we doing this? What's the point?
Yeah.
And for a couple days, we're just back and forth, like, what are we going to do? We're done. We're done with racing.
Yeah.
And to be honest, we couldn't come up with anything else that we wanted to do. So we decided we were going to do it together. So we got back together in 2012, working for KV Racing. So I left the organization. He was already there. Got back together, and that was 2012 was our first year working back together, and then 2013 we won the 500 here. So, I suppose in adversity and hard times like that, it's finding the people that have the like mindset, and leaning on each other.
Yeah.
I think, and there's a lot of that in this small community in racing, because you do go through the highs and the lows, and that's one of the things that I kind of brought up to my group earlier in the year. It's like the experience that you have through racing,
Yeah.
it kind of defines your highs and lows. And the longer you've been around or the older you are, the wider that scope is. So your
Yeah.
highs are really high
Yeah.
and your lows can be really low.
Yeah.
And to manage what we do day in and day out, it's finding that middle.
Yeah.
Try not to get too high and try not to get too low. Just try to stay in the middle as best you can.
Yeah.
That just helps manage the week in, week out. It's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Some people just they can't moderate themselves and they can't take the highs and the lows particularly. You've seen a lot of guys run into trouble with alcoholism or
Yeah.
just escapism. Let's call
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Just because they can't deal with the downsides. Everybody's up for the good side, but
Yeah.
it's dealing with it when things don't go right. And particularly this race, there's only one team that's going to come out of here after the 500 and be happy. Everybody else is going to be miserable and have to wait another year before you get another shot.
Yeah.
So if you do that over and over again, you kind of learn how to manage that, but it's difficult. Like I said, it's
Really, truly is about the men and women standing next to you, isn't
yeah, it is.
it? It really,
really
truly
is.
is.
And that's a team. We really maybe something that's not focused on as much as it should be with this sport is it is a team sport.
Yeah.
The drivers are individuals, and yes, they are the prominent figures, but everybody that has their hand on any part of this operation is a key component.
Yeah.
That to me, I think that's something that should be emphasized.
That aligns so much with what we're trying to do at Blackline, where we're trying to elevate the skilled trades and the men and women who do that work. And I love how you talk about it. The driver is part of the team, and it's like, you have even the human body. We have different body parts, but they all work together.
Yeah.
And it's like my thumb is no less important than my foot. You know what I mean? It's like, and they all work together. And I think it's interesting how that ties together with, the men and women who build the buildings and build the track. Like, you don't see them on race day. You don't see that work that they do, but it's like they're part of the team.
You admire the contribution.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Less important than
without them, and I think, we say this a lot in the trades, we don't build buildings alone. We don't build tracks alone. We build together.
Sure.
And I would venture, I don't know about your industry, but I would think a driver can't win a race alone.
No.
And I would think in today's racing world, that's not possible. And so,
yeah, very much so. There's so much that goes in behind the scenes besides that one driver in the car.
Yeah.
And even while they're out there, there's so much support that's going in real time to helping them manage what they're doing out there.
Well, that's why it matters so much who you choose to live your career with.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about your friend, and it's like how important that is to be working alongside someone like that in that way, that you can lean on when you need to, because you will. That none of us can escape hardship. None of us can get away from it. And the only thing that we can do is what you were saying is moderate it so that we can survive it and go through it.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate, Erik, your honesty. That's what we call these. We want to have a real and honest conversation.
Yeah, no.
I really do. I guess I have one last question that I want to ask you. And you've been so honoring and real with us. And I mean, I can see the emotion in what you're talking about, all the way from the beginning to that very real story that you shared with us. But I want to push a little harder here. What is a mistake that you have made in life or in your career that you feel like you've learned from, that you'd be willing to share with our listeners that they might be able to learn from?
Yeah, sure. I think kind of along that same vein, one of the things that I screwed up for a lot of the beginning of my career was, say, give you an example at that time and being here, it really sort of brings me back to that. Every year you come here and you try to win this race,
Yeah.
and it's hard. And dealing with that after the fact, I always felt initially that if my car didn't win, then that was such a high level of importance for me that and I hadn't accomplished that. It was like, well, yeah, okay, that was my teammate won or someone I know. I have friends on that car. Great. I honestly, and I'm sad to say this. At one point, I said, you know what? I'm tired of celebrating other people's accomplishments.
Yeah.
And that's yeah. I really regret that. I regret
Yeah.
that mindset.
Yeah.
Because one thing that I should have realized more, and I think the importance, I wish that I had a better, different attitude, was every person, and we just talked about it, because it's a team sport.
Yeah.
Anybody and everybody that has anything to do with that organization and getting that car to the track, getting it prepared, even to the point of setting up the garages or driving the truck.
Yeah.
Anybody that has anything to do with that organization,
Come on.
they are equal parts of success.
Come on. Yeah.
That, to me,
That's huge.
if I was part of the team,
Yeah.
so you've got 3-4 cars, whatever. If one of those cars win, everybody wins.
Yeah.
And everybody should relish that accomplishment.
Yeah.
Not be like, well, that wasn't my car.
Yeah.
Or why did it, go that way? That wasn't fair. I worked hard enough. I should be. It's such a regretful mindset for me that I would have enjoyed.
There it is.
The accomplishment of the group.
Yeah.
For so many years, I've as far as a team, there's probably 5 or 6 Indianapolis 500 victories that I was on that team.
Wow.
But in my mind, until I put this ring on my finger, I hadn't accomplished anything. Wow. And I really regret that mindset.
Wow. Erik, I so appreciate you sharing that. It's so deep in the sense of we often miss what's right in front of us.
Yeah.
Because we're not taking the time to look around and enjoy what's going on right now. I was literally in the podcast earlier today, I was talking about in the social media world, there's this thing going around right now, like a meme, and it's talking about, oh, if only we remembered like the good old days. And I've decided that I actually think that our minds play tricks on us in the sense of we look back, especially now that I'm further on in life, when I look back to my younger years, I'm like, oh, those were the good old days. I want to change that mindset and be like, the good old days are right now. They are right now.
Yeah,
and
I like that.
Looking at and being aware to enjoy this moment right here, right now. And that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so win or lose, these are the good days. And we need to have an attitude of gratitude in life to realize what it is that, like, I mean, seriously, you and I are sitting here at the place for racing.
It is.
And it's like,
It's
and
the
we're
epicenter.
having real and honest conversations about what it is to be here. And one of the things I was talking with one of the gentlemen from IMS, I said to him, I said, my son loves statistics. And he was telling me the other day, I was frustrated about something, and he was kind of grabbing my attention. And he says to me, he says, Dad, he goes, and I'm always I'm very proud of our country and our history. I love being an American. And I don't mean in an arrogant way. I just love our history and our legacy. Yeah. And, we're celebrating 250 years of a phenomenal country. And to sit here and my son made this comment to me, and he said, Dad, he goes, you know what the stats are of being born in the United States of America? He said, it's like winning the lottery. He goes, there's a 3% chance that you'll be born in America.
Wow.
And he struck me, and we were having some deep conversation, and he struck me about how would my life be different if I was born, and nothing against these places except for this. I do think America is the greatest country in the world. And we have our problems, but we are the greatest country in the world. And, you know, there's a 3% chance that I could have been born in China, Uganda, Ukraine, Russia. Like, actually,
that's mind blowing.
It is mind blowing. And it's like, and then when I realized that, it's like, wow, I've really won the lottery.
Yeah.
You know, there's a stat out there that if you make, I think $33,000 or $38,000 a year, it's less than 40 grand. If you make less than 40 grand, you are in the top 1% of the world in wealth.
Insane.
Of the world. So it's like, whatever it is that you're dealing with or you're struggling with, hey, if you didn't win the race or your team didn't win the race, you were here. You were a part of it.
Yeah.
How many people, you know, how many teams did you say are here on race day?
There's 33 cars.
33 cars.
So
that's
yeah,
not
10,
a big
12
number.
teams. No.
That's not a big number. So, Erik, I so appreciate what you and McLaren is doing and investing in the next generation, pouring out that experience. I love the forward thinking there. I am officially a race fan.
Welcome.
And I mean, it is awesome. And I really appreciate you taking the time to step up to the line and have a real and honest conversation with me here today. And to be real, you were that today. And so thank you for that.
Oh, good. I really enjoyed it. I really did.
Me too.
You couldn't have picked a better spot, but I really appreciate the conversation.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
All right.